last week on Way Out West. A hoity-toity railroad tycoon has convinced the mayor of Rowdytown to force all his townsfolk to spend their days working on a railroad. Town Sheriff Dallas and her cousin Dusty want what's best for the people, so they're headed way out west to Tumbleweed Canyon to find a better life for the folks of Rowdytown. They thought they got out of Dodge just in time, but Mayor Rowdy won't let them leave that easily. He sent a bandit to follow them way out west.
Water.
Oh, Dallas, what are you doing? Come on, we gotta keep moving. We are so close to Whistle Creek.
Oh, fiddlesticks. It's happening again. Now I'm seeing a nice ripe banana on the trail.
Why in tarnations did you have to say that? Now I'm seeing it too.
No mirages could be seen by two people. Unless my mind's playing crazy tricks on me.
Huh. Now that you mention it, I thought the same thing. It's mine! No, it's mine! Hey, stop it! Okay, how about we do the fair thing and we split it in half? Okay?
Have you ever seen... Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Gosh.
How do you think it got out here on the desert trail anyway?
Who knows? Maybe some traveling ranger dropped it. Or maybe it was folks like us going out west in search of a better life. Too bad they couldn't have dropped two, huh?
Yes, sir. That is too bad.
All right. Come on, Sheriff. Gotta stand on up now.
Here.
All right.
Oh, that's soothing.
Dallas? Am I seeing a mirage for real this time?
What?
Or is that Whistle Creek?
Well, that's not a mirage either. We did it. We're almost to Whistle Creek. Woo!
Dallas, look at that.
What is it?
It's an elephant with a teeny tiny little cowboy hat over there with that traveling circus. Have you ever seen such a thing? Hey, Mr. Elephant, I like your hat.
I am not seeing an elephant. Now, I didn't say it. You might be experiencing a real mirage.
No, I've never seen a real life circus. Can we go to the show? Please, please.
We gotta get you some water. Now, come on.
Okay. Oh, Dallas, don't leave me! Don't leave me! Don't leave me, please! Oh, is it just me, or is this the most refreshing water you've ever had in your entire life?
It is real good. So, how do you feel?
I feel great. Never better. But I really wanted to go to the circus.
Oh, enough of that. Can you believe we actually made it here?
I'll be honest with you. I've never had such a wild night out on the range.
I still can't believe those sneaky prairie dogs got away with all our biscuits. I slept with one eye open all night long. I wonder if the folks of Whistle Creek have any interesting news today.
Dallas, you ain't gonna believe this, but our pictures are on the front page of the Whistle Creek Times.
Oh, hot doggity dog, there we are. And that is a pretty good picture of us. Is that from last year's rodeo?
Well, that ain't what's important right now. How do we make it into the paper here in Whistle Creek? Do the folks around these parts even know who we are?
Well, looks like the news has gotten out about all the mayhem over in Rowdytown. This article says that the folks back home are having to work on the railroad just to get water.
I think we barely got out of there in time.
You betcha. Now, according to this article, the mayor's deputies were chasing 2 townspeople out who were trying to escape until they got swarmed by a bunch of horseflies. It was us! We were the ones they were chasing!
And that's why they printed our pictures. We're famous for getting out of town in time.
Oh, well, how be? We should just be thanking our lucky stars those horseflies got to those deputies.
I know. What are the chances that happened at the exact moment those deputies were about to catch us? You know? I don't think it had a thing to do with luck. I'm pretty sure it was just another example of God looking out for us.
Well, you're right, Dusty. I think he's been taking care of us the whole time. Now, does it say anything else?
Just that Roo Rowdy has been named interim sheriff for the time being.
Wait, what? Roo Rowdy's been given my badge?
Well, of course, Mayor Rowdy would put his own son in charge of policing the people. It's the best way for him to control everybody.
Shoo-wee. Well, that sure is hard to think about someone else wearing my badge. Hey, why do you think he put Roo in charge instead of his other son, Buck?
Who knows? I'll tell you, Buck and Roo Rowdy always seemed like they was up to no good, but especially that Buck. But we can't worry about none of that right now, though. Badge or no badge, you are the rightful sheriff of Rowdy Town.
And that's exactly why we've got to make it to Tumbleweed Canyon. Now we got to rest up and get ready to get back on that trail real soon.
All right. Whew. Oh, thank you.
Hey guys.
That was some good thinking, though. I'll fill up the canteens at the watering hole, and you head on down to the general store and see if you can find us some beans and biscuits. Oh, and then go exploring and see if you can find us a place to stay for the night.
Right.
We can head back out on the trail, sun up.
Word is spreading throughout the Wild West about all of the shenanigans happening in Rowdy Town. I sure do hope Dusty and Dallas can make it to Tumbleweed Canyon in time to save the fine folks of Rowdy Town. Before we find out what happens next, giddy on up for one of our favorite songs from the Wild West.
Hey there, how do you do? We're headed out west, but we're waiting on you. Kick up your boots and join the fun. Just follow along, watch how it's done. We're headed out west, and we're all in this together. Giddy up, partner, it's time to go. We're headed out west like birds of a feather. Come on, get up, it's time to go. Do-si-do and howdy hi, saddle up, it's time to ride. Get on your feet, lickety-split, stomp your boots and just don't quit. We're headed out west and we're all in this together. Giddy up, partner, it's time to go. We're headed out west like birds of a feather. Come on, get up, it's time to go. Spin your lasso round and round. Come on, partner, let's get down. Nowhere else we'd rather be. Come on and holler, repeat after me. Yee-haw! 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 We're headed out west and we're all in this together. Giddy up, partner, it's time to go. We're headed out west like birds of a feather. Come on, get up, it's time to go. We're headed out west and we're all in this together. Giddy up, partner, it's time to go. We're headed out west like like birds of a feather. Come on, get up, it's time to go. Come on, get up, it's time to go.
Howdy, how to.
Howdy. If you want eggs, you gotta learn how to catch a chicken. Well, there you have it. Good luck on the trail, cowboys and cowgirls.
God's people, the Israelites, were living in Egypt as slaves. Sun up to sundown, the mean old Pharaoh put them to work each and every day. Even though they were downright miserable, God never left them. He knew they needed help and sent Moses and Aaron to lead them to the Promised Land. Moses and Aaron listened to God and went to Pharaoh to tell him that it was time to let God's people go. Pharaoh didn't care. He liked having slaves around doing all the work for him, so he refused to hear what they had to say. Moses didn't know what to do, so he prayed and asked for help. God reminded Moses that he would never leave him and that he would save his people. God told Moses and Aaron to go talk to Pharaoh again. So that's exactly what they did. They said, "Let God's people go." But Pharaoh's answer was still the same, a big N-O. God told Moses and Aaron that Pharaoh would ask them to perform a miracle. So Aaron took his walking stick, threw it down on the ground, and it turned into a mean old snake. That didn't bother Pharaoh none. He still refused to obey God's command to let his people go. It was time for some drastic measures. Moses then met Pharaoh at the Nile River and asked him one more time to let God's people go. But wouldn't you know it, he still didn't listen. So God told Moses that Aaron should use the walking stick to strike the river. And when he did, it turned right into blood. You'd think that would be enough to convince Pharaoh, but no sirree. That Pharaoh stayed stubborn and refused to let God's people go. God had Moses try to convince Pharaoh 9 more times. To prove that he was for his people, God brought punishment on Pharaoh and the Egyptians, and boy, they sure did suffer. Picture this. God sent thousands of frogs, hippity-hopping all over town, the whole place smelling worse than an old boot. Then, swarms of gnats and flies buzzing around everyone's head. It didn't get better from there either. I'm talking animals dying left and right, boils all over their skin, hail falling from the sky, locusts flying all around, darkness for days, and by golly, even death. Now, the whole time this was happening, the Israelites were just waiting and wondering when they would be set free. They knew that God hadn't left them, and that one fine day they would see the Promised Land. After all this crazy mess, Pharaoh had finally had enough, and he let God's people go. As they were heading out of town, God sent a cloud to lead them by day and a fire to lead them by night. God had never left them while they were in Egypt, and he would never leave them on their long journey to the Promised Land.
God never leaves me.
Red versus blue. 2 scorpions will try to be the first to make it outside of the circle. Let's hear some hooting and hollering as you cheer for your favorite scorpion. Red scorpion wins. Way to go! Now get on your feet. It's time to sing.
We know in all things God works for the good of those who love Him. We know in all things God works for the good of those who love Him. When I'm having a bad day, things aren't going my way, I know that God is with me. He's still there, He never leaves. We know in all things God works for the good of those who love Him. We know in all things God works for the good of those who love Him. I know that I can love You because You show me the way. Nothing can separate me from Your love. You are for us. We know in all things God works for the good of those who love Him. We know in all things God works for the good of those who love Him. You work for our good. You work for our good. You work for our good because You love us. You love us. We know in all things God works for the good of those who love Him. We know in all things God works for the good of those who love Him. We know in all things God works for the good of those who love Him. We know in all things God works for the good of those who love Him.
All right, I got us some beans and I got us some biscuits for the next few nights out on the trail. Did you get us plenty of water?
Sure did. And I gotta tell you, I met the nicest folks here in Whistle Creek. I even met one of them news reporters for the Whistle Creek Times, and she told me a Bible story about Moses and the plagues. Shoo-wee! That's a real humdinger.
Yes, sirree, I have heard that one before.
Well, I had never heard that part of Moses' story before.
Well, I know things in Egypt were buck wild with all those plagues that God sent to help Moses and his people escape from Egypt.
Well, it's kind of like what happened to us when we were trying to get out of Rowdy Town and the horseflies swarmed all around Mayor Rowdy and the deputies who were chasing us.
God really does keep proving over and over again that He is with us and that He is never gonna leave us. I know it took a lot of convincing to actually get me to head way out west to Tumbleweed Canyon with you, but I sure am glad we're doing this.
Well, being out on the trail may not be easy, but we can always remember that God's never gonna leave us. I sure am glad I heard that story today. I know we're gonna need to remember it a lot over the next few weeks.
Hey, Dusty, y'all right over there?
I am starving. I need to get something to eat. And the folks around here keep talking about some famous frog leg stew.
Oh, bleh.
There was an article about it in the Whistle Creek Times. It won the blue ribbon at the town cook-off. I bet it's just as good as Miss Nellie's famous chili in Rowdy Town.
I think I'm just gonna stick with some steak and pintos.
Yeah, suit yourself. Oh yeah, did you find a place for us to stay?
Oh, I sure did. They had a vacancy at the Best Western. It's the most luxurious accommodation this side of the Mississippi. And it's right down the street by the town square. Oh, and speaking of Whistle Creek's annual Do-Si-Do Hoedown tonight, right there near our hotel.
I don't know. Square dancing's not really my thing.
Oh, gosh. I can teach you. It's real simple. You just gotta do a bunch of crisscross steps, throwing in some do-si-dos, and you're good to go.
Anytime I ever tried it, I always looked like my boots were covered in molasses. My feet always get stuck.
All you need is a little practice. Now, watch me.
Well, I don't know. We'll promise you won't laugh.
No, I promise.
All right, here goes.
we got a little work to do, but it should still be fun.
I'll go to the do-si-do hoedown, even if I can't do-si-do with the best of them. We'll still have a good time.
Woo-hoo! Come on, let's go and get our dancing on.
Right behind you.
Things seem to be looking up for Dusty and Dallas. As they keep heading out west, they'll have to remember that God will never leave them, no matter how wild things get out on the trail.
God never leaves me.
For today's Rootin' Tootin' Review, we'll pan for gold to see if we can remember something we learned today. After hearing today's question, we'll start panning. When you see gold letters, call them out. See if you can guess the answer before they all unscramble. What was God's plan for Moses and the Israelites? To set them free. God had a plan to free his people from Pharaoh, and even though it took a while for Pharaoh to let them go, the Israelites could trust that God had a plan and would never leave them.
Seeing all the shenanigans happening out in the Wild West was so much fun today. Before y'all mosey on back to where you came from, let's bow our heads, close our eyes, and pray together. Hey God, thank you for always being with us. We know that no matter what is going on in our lives, you have a good purpose for each one of us. Please help us to always remember that you will never ever leave us. We love you. Amen.